Hello and welcome to A Baker's Passion. I'm Ray Madursky, and in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to make a genoise. Genoise is one of the major classes of egg foam cakes, and it's a cake where the whole leavening is dependent upon air being beaten into a mixture of whole eggs and sugar. And then we get it into the oven. It's pretty delicate and things, but it's really an incredibly versatile cake to know how to make, and you can then include it in your repertoire. And the thing is, it's really fast to whip up a cake. It has very little butter in it, and there's a technique where you put a little bit of hot cream and butter, so I tend to use the hot milk sponge, as it's called, version of the recipe. And the whole thing is based on getting the eggs melted without overbeating them, and then the thing to do is to bake the cake, and the cake itself will be very dry. So the way we compensate for that is by making simple sugar syrups and soaking the sponge once you're ready to put it together. So one of the other important things is the technique itself is often written about in English, and people demonstrate it, but they really don't give you all of the proper pieces to putting a good genoise together. The most important thing, I think, is really heating the egg and sugar mixture over simmering water till it becomes hot to the touch. You don't need a thermometer, you don't have to do anything fancy. All you have to do is stick your finger in the mixture, and when it feels hot enough that you want to kind of pull your finger out because it's like, oh, it's hot, that's when it's ready to go onto the mixer and beat on high speed. And one of my teachers, Madeline Cannon, used to say, beat it for 11 minutes. So I go probably about 10 minutes. So if you beat it on high speed for 10 minutes, you're going to get the proper, beautifully whipped egg and sugar that you want. Okay, so let's get going, and we'll get through this, and you'll see it's really an easy thing to get together. Okay? Okay, so now the flour and butter has been placed on top of the parchment. The pan is ready to go. I also have a pan simmering with water, which we will warm the egg and sugar mixture over, and then we'll get it mounted on the mixer. And also I have my butter and my heavy cream. I used light cream today, and you could use milk, doesn't matter, but that's already in my pan and it's keeping warm. So what we're going to do now is sift the starch. The starch component in this recipe is a mixture of cake flour and cornstarch. Reason being, you could use just the weight given in cake flour, but even cake flour has some protein in it, and the idea is to really get the protein content in your starch as low as possible. So the French have really been amazing in playing with the genoise and things, and they've developed basically this technique where cake flour, which has low protein to begin with, is mixed with an equal weight of cornstarch. Or you could use potato starch if you have that around. Some people use potato starch. Whatever you have will be fine. The idea is to make the starch have as little as possible protein. So we've got that ready to go. Now what we will do is mix the sugar and the eggs. I have 4 eggs. Today I'm demonstrating the recipe with a 4-egg batch, okay? So there we go, and now I'm going to get lightly whipped just to break up the egg yolks, and then we're going to place it over the simmering water. So here are the eggs and sugar. What I'm going to do is place them over the simmering water. And I actually reached for some salt. So what you want to do is just keep the mass of the egg sugar mixture moving with a whisk, because you don't want it to scorch. This is a situation in which the eggs can easily curdle, and then if they do that, you would have to start all over again. But if you tend to keep the mixture continues beating on high speed, and you can see it's become very light and almost like softly whipped heavy cream. The mixture has been beating for 9 minutes, so I'm going to slow the mixer to the lowest speed. Actually, I'll show you. You can see that there's a pretty solidly stiff ribbon that has formed with the eggs and sugar, and that's what you want. You want to see that pretty well-established ribbon. But what I'm going to do is put the mixer on low and take all of the flour and cornstarch, add it, now I'll turn off the mixer, and we'll finish folding in the flour using a spatula. Okay, so we're going to clean the beaters, the whips of the whisk. And the real important thing here is the folding. And to do the folding, get everything off the sides of the bowl, cut in to the center of the mixture, cut up from the sides, keep the bowl moving as you do it, and you just really want to be sure there are no big globs of flour. Actually, I think we're about ready. So now I have the melted butter mixture and I've added the vanilla to it. We're going to place about 1/3 of the egg foam into it, and then we're going to use the whisk. Don't clean that whisk from earlier, just use it. And what we're going to do is just lighten the butter, cream, vanilla into the egg foam mixture. And now we're going to add it to the main part of the batter. So we're just going to pour it right over the spatula. Okay, and get everything in there. And then again, do some good quick folding. You really want to evenly disperse the fat component into the rest of the batter. There's not a whole lot of fat, as I said earlier, in any of the egg foam cakes. So you want to really make sure you don't get globs of fat in any one part of the batter because it won't bake properly. Okay, we're ready now to place our batter into the prepared pan. Okay, and what I like to do is just let it drop once to get some of the biggest air bubbles out and into the preheated oven. Okay, it's been 26 minutes and the cake is tested done. So I'm going to bring it out of the oven. You can see it really is springy when you touch it. And it's also pulling away from the sides of the springform pan. So we'll let it cool for about 5 minutes in the pan, and then we'll remove it from the pan and allow it to cool completely on another cake rack. Okay, we're going to remove the sponge from the springform pan. There we go. Now we'll allow the cake to cool at room temperature completely. And then we'll frost it with a creme anglaise buttercream. And what I'll do is make a Moka, coffee and chocolate flavored in the Swiss style buttercream, and we'll finish the cake with that. I'm just loosening the parchment paper. And I'm going to put the cake aside and we'll let it cool.